Hey, what's up you guys, the Curious Owl here, and today I am doing the personal rules for reading tag. So I was tagged in this video about a month ago by my friend Courtney over at Tangible Reads. Please go follow her if you have not already. She is super duper sweet. She comes and hangs out in sprints all the time that I host or that my friends host. And she's always such a joy. So thank you so much, Courtney, for hanging out with me all the time. And thank you for tagging me in this video. I know it's a month late, but I haven't really had the time to figure out when I was gonna get this in here. And with the fact that I had to cancel some content this week that I was originally going to do, this seemed like the perfect opportunity to throw this one in there. So this is a really short tag. There's only really about 4 questions, and then one that Courtney had made herself for this tag, as it is what's called an open source tag, meaning that people who do this can add in their own questions as they would like to. So I'm not necessarily going to add in my own question, but I am going to answer the one that Courtney had placed in this video. So I will leave her video down in the description, as well as the original creator of this, who is MJ at Reading This Life. So the first question is, do you strive to read every day? If yes, do you do anything different or special to make time within your day? If no, why not? So I do try to read every day. If you watch my update video though, I talk about how this last couple weeks have been a little rough because I've been in the course of a life shift, basically, where I have a new job, and getting used to the new schedule with all of that has been a little difficult. So I try to read every day, but at this point, I haven't read in probably about a week and a half. I was reading every day. I was trying to read audiobooks while I was working, and then also reading on my breaks that I would take, my ergonomic breaks from work. So that would usually be about 20 minutes for every hour that I was working, because I was doing a lot of work at one time, which required me to take a little bit longer breaks so that I didn't overwork myself. And then I would also try to read during my lunch breaks. So now I'm trying to find the best time to do that reading. So I think what's going to end up happening is I'm going to have to try to remember to listen to my audiobook as I'm driving to work, from work, as I'm getting ready in the morning, those kinds of things, like just finding that new time to really get in my reading. And then because I can't really listen to audiobooks or read while I'm working in my new job, really a lot of the bulk of my reading is probably going to be when I get home, provided I don't have things I need to do, like editing videos or stuff like that. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge trying to figure that stuff out again, but it's going to be totally fine. Like once I get into a routine again, that's going to be it. Question 2 is, do you always stay within your favorite genres, or do you experiment with reading different genres and subgenres? I like to say that I'm a bit of an eclectic reader. I pretty much will read anything, but I do think I tend to stick to the fantasy stuff because fantasy is first and foremost my most favorite genre. So I think that a lot of times I do end up reading a lot of that, but I'm very open to reading pretty much anything. Question 3 is, do you DNF? If yes, what was the last book you DNF'd and the reasons why? If your answer is no, then what drives you to finish the book? So I do DNF. I did not used to until a few years ago. I finally decided that DNFing is just as valid. I think the last book I DNF'd was a couple months ago. I have to reference my reading journal because I don't remember what the last one I DNF'd was. It looks like the last book I DNF'd was Specialty Topics in Calamity Physics by Marisha Pessl, and I do remember when I DNF'd this back in July, I think it was. And the reason I DNF'd this was because I really did not like the writing style of this. I felt like it was very strange. Like, I don't even know, like just the way that the characters were speaking just did not really seem to make sense to me. And I just was really uncomfortable reading this. Like the way that the main character was talking about her father was almost as if like he was a pedophile of some kind. Like I don't really remember much of it, but I do remember that within like the first 50 pages, I just was like, I'm not into this. We're done with it, which was really surprising because I really did like Night Film by Marisha Pessl a lot. And so I was hoping that this one was going to be really good, but I just was not jiving with it. and I didn't really feel like I wanted to continue with it. Question 4 is, do you like to read challenging books? If yes, what draws you to them? If not, why do you avoid them? So I guess this depends on what your idea of challenging is. For me, a challenging book is something that is usually really long. So think like this book here. This is Upon a Burning Throne by Ashok K. Banker. This is like a nearly 700-page fantasy novel. This would be a little challenging for me, I think, because the size of it looks really intimidating. And so I do like to read, though, longer fantasies. I think they are very fun, but they are a bit of a challenge because it's like having to get through them. The one thing I will say, though, is like when you're getting into books like in the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, it's really a lot more intimidating. Or like the Game of Thrones series by George R.R. Martin, you know, like those books are really challenging for me because they are incredibly high fantasy and they are incredibly complex. The Wheel of Time series being another one, you know, like there's so much going on in those series that it's very hard for me to get through them. But I do like them enough that I want to keep continuing with them. And it's kind of one of those things where, like, especially with the Wheel of Time, where I still have so many books to get through and I would like to finish it, but there's that like fear because of the fact that like they are so complex and they are so long that it's like, I don't know if I really want to continue with it, but I do. And Courtney added on, like I said, an additional question to this, which is basically, if you have a book that you are aware of that has really bad reviews, like people aren't dogging it, it's not really seeming to be that good, would you still read it? And I think that for the most part I would, because I want to understand what are the issues that people have with it. So for instance, when I read From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, I was reading this because I did hear a lot of really bad reviews about it, and the fact that there was some racism, there was a character who was a brown character who was named Tawny, stuff like that kind of thing, and the fact that the relationship between the main character and her love interest was incredibly toxic. I wanted to read it myself to understand what were those issues, like what was it that was happening in those books that was leading people to have those thoughts. And I read it, and as many of you may know, if you watched my Finish Your DNF video for this series, I could not get through 100 pages of this book without wanting to throw it across the room because of how awful it was. So those are the questions for the personal rules for reading book tag. Thank you so much again to Courtney for tagging me in this video. I do appreciate it. If you would like to do this video yourself, I will leave the questions down in the description, as well as the question that Courtney had that she added to this video. But otherwise, let me know what your guys' thoughts were on these if you would like to share them with me in the comments below. But thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you'd like to be and would like to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that button down below and subscribe, become an owl in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys.